Welcome to YouTube channel Knowledge Base, connecting world with innovative experts. This is Suresh Venkat. Today our guest of honor is Mr. Sairam Nagarajan. He comes with close to 25 years of experience, 15 years in information technology, and close to 13 years has worked in USA. Mr. Sairam Nagarajan has serviced clients across domains like automotive, petrochemicals, banking and finance, healthcare, and life sciences. He has added many feathers in his cap like PMP certification, CMMI Associate, Six Sigma Green Belt, and many more. Mr. Sairam Nagarajan is currently associated with the DISYS India Pvt Ltd as director. Today he is going to talk on HR automation. Over to Mr. Sairam Nagarajan. Can talk to.
Hey Suresh, thanks for giving me an opportunity to
It's my pleasure.
share my knowledge and experience, with a new team of people, with a new set of audience.
Yeah.
As you said, I have close to 13 plus years work experience in US and almost 25 years of experience. And most of my experience ranges particularly from sales and business development and into operations, human resource management, program management and project support, into almost all functions of a company, other than the accounting and finance speed of it. But for that, so I've handled all the other portfolios in my career so far. I have a diverse background. I work with diversified industries. Speaking about the current trend in HR, right now as you said, I work for DISYS India and I manage healthcare and life sciences operations part of it here. Talking about the trends in HR processes, the automation, implementation of automation and the AI/ML and the cognitive technologies in HR processes, how it helps a company, to grow and compete with others in the market. So generally when we speak, when we start talking about this, implementation of automation or AI/ML, people will generally get a fear that there might be a lot of job cuts, it might eliminate some of the manual jobs. And then that's the kind of fear going around, a myth going around generally, but it's not like that. Implementation of automation or AI/ML technologies, it's going to definitely help the workers or an employees in the company to perform their work in a more better and effective way. It's not going to take away the job. It's going to help them to perform the work in an effective and better way. So naturally, companies, what they should think and what they should think and invest is, instead of abolishing that role, or instead of taking the role away, or instead of becoming that role becoming redundant, they should concentrate and focus on upskilling their superstar recruiters or superstar employees. So they should impart them training to bring them up to speed on the latest technologies. So that's going to be the asset for them, instead of taking the job away and removing them and putting a new person. So they should first focus on training the people. Or upskilling is an important thing. Upskilling and cross skilling is an important function people should concentrate now, because in the current trend. So there are few areas. So instead of, it's HR as a whole is big process. Instead of going around with all the functions, where I can immediately think of as implementation of chatbots in recruiting helps a lot of, it helps in a very big way. So I was reading an article, a company, banking, the leading banking industry, DBS Bank. So they implemented a product. They developed their own product in the recruitment section called JIT. And through that, what they arrived at is it helped them to shorten the sourcing time of candidates. So for example, from 30-35 minutes to 78 minutes per candidate. When you go for volume hiring, this technology and these chatbots are really helpful, and not only that, we normally file job application through company portals, through the applicant tracking system, the ATS system. So automation in that part of it, or application of chatbot, it helps them to complete the job application of candidates up to 95%. It improves the job application completion rate, by 95%. That is another area. And candidates, while applying also, they may have a lot of queries, in that case. So the availability of chatbots and automation, it also helps them to answer or respond back to the queries coming out from candidates. So these are all the areas in terms of recruitment. Even I can think about augmented writing in recruiting, because when you create a job description, some of the critical job functions or a complex job, you need to have your writing. You have to be very clear about it, your job description, the content of the job. So the augmented writing, the technology piece of it, it helps. It helps, when you do that, it helps the recruiter to have a better search and get an effective and matching candidates for that. So implementing that is also helping in a lot way. And then coming back to onboarding. So once you recruit and see, again, it's finally it leaves to the hiring manager or the person who is in charge of the hiring to gather all the data and take a final decision based on his the interviews and whatever the data he got in the process. The tools are only helping the recruiters to perform the work in a better and effective and faster way. Okay, that's only they're doing. It's helping them into products produce the work in a better way, but ultimately the decision has to be taken by the hiring manager when he calls for it. That's the thing. So in the onboarding, when you come across onboarding, it also now, see, people, most of the companies, IT companies, are all now working from home. The employees are working from because of the COVID scenario. When it comes to onboarding, so availability of chatbots helps the employees to get their queries answered in a faster way. So for example, some employee might have questions on the policies of the company, and it related to employee holidays or leave, what is the mechanism involved, or even to if you have an IT issue, like connecting to their laptop, or configuring their Outlook, or whatever is the remote VPN connect. So this kind of some of the areas where they get chatbots available, it helps them to answer their queries in a very faster way, so that they become more productive. That is one thing. And even the application of chatbots and also can be used for checking the employee well-beings. When they're performing, not performing the well-being, also you can use that chatbots in that part of it. And then another area is when it comes to training, L&D, learning and development and training part of it. The new AR, VR technology is helping them. People are leveraging the technology to implement training for their employees. In some cases, I read some of the one or two of the companies, they were using it for training their employees on sexual harassment. So that's the key training. Every employee needs to know about it. What is that? It's in today's scenario. So people are using the technology and leveraging the technology and imparting training to their employees. Even I was reading another article when a major retail supply chain like Walmart. Walmart uses AR/VR technology from their products producing section, how to produce, all the way up to the customer sales, how to handle the customers. They are using that technologies to improve the performance of their employees. So even on a given day, the volume of sale will be more because of the offers on a special holiday schedule and all. So on those kind of days too, they need to be prepared well in advance for proper planning and all. This kind of technologies, the data gained from this helps them to pre-plan their activities, and so that they come out with a better effective service. So, that way it helps. And another important area is a lot of companies are facing challenges in attrition. It's where the people analytics data is extremely used to develop some attrition model, using the AI technologies, come out with an attrition model based on the past findings and data available with the company, and it helps them to improve the effectivity in attrition, control over attrition. These are all the areas where they can use. So generally thinking about AI and ML or implementation of automation in HR, so it's only helping the companies to grow. And then, AI-driven workforce, what I see from now today, if you ask me questions, how many percent, what percentage of companies are using in India or in the world, I would rather say less than 10 to 15% of the company are using this technology. But down the line, if you think about in the next 5 years, the roadmap, so AI workforce will increase from 25 to 30% or 35% more. So AI workforce is very critical for an organization, and they need to be, in order to be more competitive and competitive in the market. So AI-driven workforce will become mandatory. So the way things are moving towards that direction. And even some big consulting companies like PwC or KPMG, those kind of companies are also investing a lot in AI/ML. And what they say is it helps them to gain efficiency, to improve their profit margin, to improve the revenue and reduce the cycle time. So for any functions, what they are focusing on. So this is on the HR perspective. Since I handle healthcare, I just wanted to share a few areas where the automation is turning around the table here, making some revolution. So we now have this COVID situation in India. So how the telemedicine is helping in a very big way. So there are a lot of COVID cases coming up. So telemedicine is one area where for any small thing, you don't have to go to the hospital, or you don't have to go to the doctor office, to risk your health fact and all. So you get your answers queried. I mean, you get your answers, whatever questions you have or whatever information you need, or you need to fill your prescription. It can be done over the phone itself. You connect with your doctor and he talks to you and gives instructions to you, instead of going all the way. So that is one area where telemedicine is helping them. And even what happened in, how it effectively influences now the hospitals are also running, lack of beds and all. In some cases, if the candidate or if the patient who's getting admitted is not, his health is not, it's coming under mild range or not mild to medium, you need not to be hospitalized. They'll do simple checks and all, get the lab result and all. They put him back at home, and they regularly monitor the patient. They regularly monitor the patient through phone system, and through calling them or through online checking their health through Skype calls or video conferencing calls. That's how the technology is now. The automation of the technology is helping people in sort of saving the time between the saving the time between the patient to run to the hospital or clinic, and also the time the doctor needs to spend with the patient. So that doctor has more time to address many patient at a time. That is one area. And then I know the Internet of Things, IoT. So in medical technology, they call it as Internet of Medical Things. How this is being helpful. So Internet of Medical Tech is helping in a very big way. See, for example, even for cardiac related patient and all, you have latest devices like EKG, ECG and all. It's a kind of sensor. You put it in your shirt and button and all. You use it. The doctor studies you for 2-3 days. So how your heart behaves. So it gives a lot of variation in specific time. Then once you complete the 2-3 days test and you go back and hand over the device, and they examine all the data collected, and then he could able to pinpoint where exactly what went wrong in particular time, what you were doing. Were you more stressed in that time because the heart rate variation, the graph shows more, it's abnormal. Then you can come to that conclusion, right? What you were doing at that time, whether you were in a gym, or you were into conversation where that has produced more stress, or you were doing something else which induced a lot of stress to your heart. That's kind of devices for any chronic disease monitoring. Like there are a lot of areas where this Internet of Medical Things technology is helping now. And of course, AIML, the latest AIML and all. See, even I heard Microsoft has come out with a product for checking the eye. Uh, it has been approved by FDA. I believe that they come out with a product where they collect patterns of eye images, eye images and retina, and then they upload it, and they use this model in devices. They come out and they check, they test and inspect whether the patient has got a chance to get a diabetic retinopathy or not. So that's how the technology has advanced. So you can detect it in an earlier stage itself. Use of that. That's been AML is applying up in a lot of other areas in the healthcare side. And cloud computing. Another area is cloud computing. See, where when it comes to healthcare industry, sensitivity of data, HIPAA regulations, HIPAA compliance, you should not share your all data in publicly. So there are few data which are generically available where companies use public cloud. The availability of private clouds gives a very good security protections, to adhere to the compliance, healthcare compliance, HIPAA compliance, or anything where they keep data on that. So that also helps healthcare companies in a big way to make their functions more effective. And then of course the usage of data analytics, the big data technologies, and usage of data science and in predictive and prescriptive analytics. That's also the area where a big investment is going on. People are focusing on that. A lot of chronic disease management can be held in a better way. So by applying these technologies, it's really helping. There is a new revolution which is going on in the healthcare. Yes, I know when you come back to when you currently take, if you ask me what is that thing which is important today, there are a lot of medical billing companies because of this COVID thing. A lot of insurance companies have a lot of work to do. There are a lot of work to do. So this revenue cycle management. So again, automation in revenue cycle management on particular processes like either a patient scheduling process or a claim handling process, or those kind of areas helps to reduce the cycle time and come out with a better results. And it helps the organization to save costs and also improves their operation efficiency to keep the customer satisfaction to a high level. That's all the other areas. You asked me, a lot of medical jobs are now in demand, like for medical technologists, paramedics, clinical attendants, to support. This scenario has created multiple jobs in healthcare and medical field all over the world, not only in India, all over the world, because you need people to save people, you need people to address to people, right, to take care of people, right? So that's how it's going on now, specifically.
Thanks a
So
lot,
you have
Sairam.
any question? You have any questions to ask me in these two
Uh,
areas?
Nothing specific. Nothing specific. Nothing specific.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sairam, for spending a
Okay.
valuable weekend with the
That's
viewer.
my pleasure, Suresh.
Yeah, I'm sure definitely viewers would add a great insight by listening to knowledgeable people like Mr. Sairam, who has got an extensive experience. I'm sure, definitely. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sairam, once again, for spending your valuable weekend with us.
And another thing which I wanted to tell before I close off this conversation is, the key catalyst is how the organization is adapting themselves to the change which is needed. So they're going to change from a manual or a semi-automated process to an automated, fully automated process. That's going to be a big change. So that's a key catalyst. How effective they are prepared and how effective they handle this all depends upon them. They accepting the change and working towards the change for getting a better result. So that will be a key vital factor for the success. That's what I observed in my overall career and overall my personal. If you ask me what is your success, what is one key parameter what you would say for your success, if you ask me, that's what my change catalyst change for me is accepting the change and going with the change and working towards the change and coming out with what is expected out of me. That's what I would rather share it with you on that part of it.
Sure, definitely. Great to hear that. Great to hear that. And definitely 100%. See, today viewers listening to you will have a great insight. Definitely, when they listen to great people who had a great experience, extensive experience across domains, across industries, across technologies, definitely it's a great privilege to listen to people like you, Mr. Sairam Nagarajan.
Oh, thanks, Suresh. Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for your time. And yeah,
Definitely,
talk to you
definitely.
soon.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sairam Nagarajan. Thanks a lot.
Great.
Thank you. Take care. Sure.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.